Now, I have with me in the studio today Mike Douglas, who has been out and about earlier this week collecting caterpillars from oak trees. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And I understand that you aren't collecting these caterpillars in order to conserve them, are you?
Absolutely not. The caterpillars I've been collecting are from a kind of moth called the oak processionary moth. These caterpillars can cause huge amount of damage on trees. They can strip all the leaves from an oak tree, leaving it completely bare, weakening the tree considerably.
A whole oak tree?
Yes, they are extremely destructive. They can also harm humans. Touching them or their nests can give you a nasty rash and even give you a sore throat or cause breathing difficulties and eye problems.
They sound nasty. How come I've never heard of them before?
Well, they've been in and around London since 2006, in some parts of West and Southwest London. Unfortunately, we've lost the battle. The moths are here to stay and there's nothing we can do about it. We're working in the area around Croydon, where there's been another outbreak, and we're trying to contain it so it doesn't spread any further.
So, how do you spot an oak processionary moth?
Well, the easiest thing to look out for is their nests. They look like a grey wart on the side of a tree. Some are about the size of a golf ball, while larger ones can be up to 2 feet in diameter.
That's huge!
It is. You can imagine how many caterpillars you can find in a nest that big. The other thing we are doing is setting traps for the moths between July and September to attract the adult moths. We're doing this over a 2-kilometre area, so we can monitor how far the moths are spreading and make sure they aren't flying beyond where we'd expect them to be.
Now, I understand that the oak processionary moth is not the only pest that you are worried about.
No, it's not. There are many hundreds of pests that could have a terrible effect on our wildlife if they're not monitored correctly. As more and more products are bought in from other countries rather than being produced here in the UK, more and more fungi, beetles and moths are allowed to travel to new areas, while warmer temperatures are allowing them to survive and flourish where previously they'd have been unable to. It's believed that such pests as these are moving closer to the poles at a rate of around 3 kilometres a year. Some insects are moving even faster, at about 10 kilometres a year. The pine processionary moth, for example, is gradually moving north through France and is now breeding close to Paris. We've already had outbreaks in the UK, which we've managed to contain. But if we don't keep up the vigilance, it means that we could see the decline of some of our most important tree species.
What can be done about that?
It's hard. There's very little government funding for this, so we are encouraging the public to be our eyes and ears.
How can they do that?
Well, the public can help us spot these pests while they're in their gardens, in parks, woodlands, generally out and about, to help us control the threats before they become too serious a problem. It's not the first time we've asked the public to do this. Not long ago there was an outbreak of the citrus longhorn beetles, which sometimes arrive on trees and shrubs from Asia or in packing crates, and a number of these were spotted by vigilant members of the public, and the threat was intercepted.
And if you're unable to contain the oak processionary moth problem?
Well, we may face a real problem. In the 1970s, Britain lost all its elm trees to Dutch elm disease, altering the landscape significantly. We could see the same thing happen again.
But are the general public really knowledgeable enough to identify what is a tree disease or a threat to a tree and what is just natural dieback?
No, in most cases not, and that's why we've launched a training programme to train volunteers in what to look out for, so that we can put together a national picture of tree health. People who are interested in becoming a volunteer can log onto our website for details of their nearest training programme.
Thanks very much indeed, Mike, for coming in to talk to us about this very worthy programme. Now it's time for our weekly...